Hey, real quick, everybody, want to give a shout to our friends over at betonline.ag. I know the NFL's over, the Super Bowl's done. We got Major League Baseball, NHL, March Madness coming around the corner, which to me is the greatest postseason sporting event of all time and what I like to wager on the most. So head over to betonline.ag as soon as you can. Tell them Jboy sent you, whether it's prop bets, whether it's parlays, whether you want to go straight up, or whether you're into teasers, pleasers, whatever you like to do. They have it over there, and the online casino is open 24 hours a day. There's always something going down at betonline.ag. So check our friends out over there and tell them Jboy sent you.
You are listening to the Jboy Show, your number one source for Auburn and the SEC.
My goal was to run through his soul and grab his heart when I run through his soul.
Kurt, Nate, Coach Staff, those are memories.
I think we've established ourselves as, I think, the premier conference in college football.
Now, the SEC is better at the top. It's better in the middle.
The Southeastern Conference remains the premier conference.
Yeah, takes the snap. Looking for the receiver. He's got Lutz and Kirkland. Touchdown, Auburn!
Think about it was always been the SEC and everybody else trying to catch it.
I think this is probably the best league from a competitive venue standpoint.
The most capable teams. You just look at those programs, the way they recruit, how they invest.
Snap to Burrow. 3 steps. Fires. Back corner of the end zone. Over the shoulder catch. Did he hold on? He did. Justin Jefferson. Touchdown, Tiger.
And now, your host, Jboy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Worldwide Sports Headquarters here at Melt in Atlanta, the Palace. Welcome to the Jboy Show. Checking out the new digs. Very excited to be able to keep providing more professional content, other ways for you guys to find us. And what a better way to get it kicked off with one of the most innovative minds in college football, a guy that understands what it takes at the highest level to have success. And that's Liberty head coach Hugh Freeze. Coach, I really appreciate you joining us.
Man, thanks for having me. It's that time of year where obviously everything's changed a little bit. So I have a little time to talk to guys like you and enjoy doing that.
Well, man, I really appreciate it, and I know your time's valuable. And where I want to start, before we get into pace and identity and stuff offensively, you know, you're a guy that worked your way up to be the head coach. And I think sometimes it gets lost in translations for coordinators out there that are hot names that take over as a head coach somewhere, and everybody expects them to excel early. Can you just talk about how the workload and not being able to be in the offensive meeting every time and game planning like you are as a coordinator, because you have fundraising stuff, you have stuff outside that as a head coach you have to do that a coordinator doesn't. Can you just kind of talk about the difference in being a coordinator and a head coach? And maybe that's why some of those guys struggle early to try and get their feet going.
You know, it's for me, I really try to play to my strengths. And you know, I tell every offensive coach that I hire that right now I still want to do it. I still want to call it. I still want to. And if they're not okay with that, then that's probably not the best, fit for them. But I'm fortunate to have guys that have been with me on the offensive side for a long time and understand that. And I do still go into meetings offensively. I just don't. I make that a priority for me, and that's what's worked for me. Now, on the other flip side of it, I've chosen, not saying this is right, wrong, or indifferent, but I don't spend hardly any time in the defensive meetings. And even though, so basically the defensive coordinator that I hire at the places I've been has kind of been the head coach of the defense in regards to game planning. And obviously I try to develop the relationship with the defensive guys, which that's the hardest thing for me probably, is because they see me in practice every day, working with the offense. And I've had to kind of change my approach a little bit to make sure they understand I'm for them. And I spend as much time as I can with them, particularly when we're in endo. I'll go to, defensive groups and spend time with them there, because when we get to the team segments, I know, I'm going to be, on the offensive side dealing with, what we're trying to get accomplished. So I still don't, whether it's fundraising or working with the university on different things, we'll make some time for that, but that doesn't take the priority of me being at the offensive meeting. So I really haven't. I guess I still see myself as an offensive coordinator in that aspect, and I just think that the minute that I start not playing to what I think are my strengths, I don't know that the success that we've had would follow. So maybe there'll come a time where I feel like it's best for me to step back and just be a head coach, but I haven't gotten to that point yet.
Well, Coach, it's such a great point because guys do it differently, but I think it shows. You talk about trust and we all have egos, whatever, but putting that aside and letting a guy, and I, speaking as a defensive coach, such a breath of fresh air when you don't have a guy, breathing down your neck, everything, and you have to do it this certain way and saying, listen, I trusted you to coach the defense. I hired you to coach the defense because I believe in what you're doing, and I'm going to let you coach. And I think that's why you've had so many coaches flourish under you, because it's almost like a shot in the arm for a guy to say, listen, if Hugh Freeze is telling me I got full control, I probably know what I'm doing, and it probably gives him a little more confidence. So I appreciate you expounding on that, Coach. And, I want to move to pace because that's something we see now in the game. It's talked about, and the way that you guys do it, the way, Lane Kiffin does it, everybody does it a little bit differently. But do you view pace and going up tempo, I guess is a way to put it, as a tool, or is it an identity? Because I think sometimes the two get mixed in some offenses. And I know you guys can change pace, whether it's NASCAR tempo, whether you want to slow it down. But do you look at it as an identity, or is it just another tool in the toolbox that you guys can go to in situations that it's advantageous for?
That's interesting. I've kind of gone back and forth through the years. So at Arkansas State, it was our identity. We were, I don't know the exact numbers, but, we wanted to get 90 plays a game. And, and that was kind of, so I was an OC there first, and we broke all kind of records. And, then I stepped into the head chair, and, you just wanted to continue that. And it worked for us there quite effectively, and winning 10 games in my first year there as head coach, and then to Ole Miss, it was our identity also, and it worked. It worked very well for most of the tenure there. Then we toward the end of it, had I not made it our identity and just made it a tool, we probably win more games that last 2 years. Now, I mean, obviously the next to last year we won 10 and went to a Sugar Bowl. So that's hard to argue with that. But the following year, we had a lot of circumstances around us and really struggled to get the defensive roster that in that league. Now, everybody is somewhat struggling now, it seems like, defensively with what's going on offensively. But had I managed the game a little differently as it being a tool instead of our identity, we probably beat Alabama again.
Wow.
And we were up 3 scores.
I remember that.
Same thing on Florida State, up 3 scores there. And so and then I had the 2 years out to evaluate all of that. And what I've done here is it's really more of a tool for us instead of an identity. Now our players may think that, because I don't think you can all of a sudden decide you're going to be an up-tempo team if you don't start that way. So, when we start camp, pace is the first thing we're going to do, because we've got to be able to do that and them think of ourselves as that. But it's definitely been more of us using it as a tool. Now, I do think it depends on your roster too.
That's very true.
If your roster is equal or better than the opponent, man, you can use it as your identity and you're probably going to fare very well. If you feel like the roster you're playing is maybe a little better, a little deeper, then for us, I think it's been beneficial to use it as a tool in certain situations. So whether it's you don't want them to get in their third down package and you just make your mind up every third down. We're going, one of our warp speed plays and going to live and die with it there and make them have to play with their base people on the field. So I think I have evolved to where currently, I think it's more of a tool for us than it is solely our identity. But people that in this building probably would answer that it's our identity. But in my mind, I know how I've used it in this past year, especially, and it was more of a tool than just, hey, this is what we're going to do, and no matter what, we're going to do it. We tried to play complementary football more and make our defense. Our defense averaged 60 plays a game this past year, and we were a lot better than making 80 plays. So I think, again, you have to look at your roster and then look at your schedule and say, all right, are we going to just sell out to being tempo and get our 90 plays, or are we going to try to be really complimentary?
Yeah, it's a great point, Coach, because, again, going fast is great and being able to, operate at warp speed and change your tempo is great. But those defenders, and you talk about the total number of plays, just like an offense wants to run a certain amount of plays, the defense doesn't want to be out there for a certain amount of plays. And Coach, before we move on to the next topic, and again, we're here with Liberty head coach Hugh Freeze, very excited to get him here at the World Palace Sports headquarters here at Melt. But Coach, a lot of people use motion to identify what coverage the defensive end is in. That's kind of been the prototypical go-to, whether it's the league or whether it's in college. Do you think tempo has kind of taken the place? Because I think sometimes people think, they want to go fast just to get the defense tired. Well, in reality, by not allowing them to substitute, you have a better chance of knowing what they're going to be in. And if you have enough plays and you talk about evolving and being multiple formationally within the tempo and the warp speed, you catch them in base. You got them exactly where you want to. What kind of feeling does that give you when you guys are going fast? You see that they're struggling. They tried to get the subs in, and all of a sudden they're in cover two like you guys thought all week, and you want to hit the home run. That's got to be a good feeling.
Yeah, the facts are we're creatures of habit, coaches, and you're going to find out pretty quickly, most games when you're in your fastest tempo, most defensive guys are going to have 1 to 2 things that they go to. It's impossible for them to call their entire, playbook if you're truly in a warp speed mentality. And once you figure out, all right, it's either going to be this or this, then you kind of know, what you want to do against those when you're in your warp speed. So, it's kind of like empty personnel. They're going to play empty a certain way, one of 2 ways, and they're going to play your warp speed 1 or 2 ways. Now, ultimately, once you find out what those 1 or 2 ways are, you still going to have you got to have a guy that can win somewhere in a one-on-one situation. Whether they're adding an extra guy to the box and they're in some type of one high, whether it be man free or some type of version of cover 3. They're basically the same for us, and when we're identifying the fields that our receivers play on. So you're going to have to win in that scenario. If you can't do that, then it makes me want to go slower for sure.
Yeah, definitely, and run that clock. But Coach, you bring up win, and I know we're winding down here, but what you guys have done at Liberty, and you've won everywhere you've been, and being able to instill that culture and what it goes back to. Because when I watch you guys play, and I'm not saying this because I have you on here, I say this all the time. I watch the way you guys play up front, especially the tenacity that the offensive line plays with, finishing blocks, the nastiness. You never see your guys argue with each other, whether it's a good play or it's a bad play. Can you talk about, number one, the culture that you have to instill to be successful? It starts in the weight room with the strength coach, bleeds its way on the practice field and into the game, and you create those habits. And when I watch you guys, you can tell you have winning habits. And really, for a second, I'd like you to talk about your culture, what it takes, and then, the way you guys practice, because you can't just show up on Saturday and play the way you guys have played, how important taking those details are and doing the things in practice and in the weight room that accumulate to happen on the field.
I totally agree. I do think that, we've been able to win 10 games in a single season at all our stops that we've been at. I've been fortunate enough to have coaches that wanted to stay with me, whether it be in the weight room. So Dom is with me. He was with me all my years at Ole Miss, chose to come with me here. My offensive guys are pretty much either played for me or have been with me. And then, defensively, it seems to be new people. But again, I give them so much control over there that I think they enjoy having that responsibility. But the culture, to me, culture sometimes beats talent. Not all the time, but sometimes it does. And so I think that's a gift that I have to breed confidence through the culture in each other, and getting a group of coaches, players, managers, trainers, all to chase a certain standard every day to reach a vision. And, we say all the time, we want to be a program that's obsessed with good habits. And, the truth of life, the truth of football is that your core values and beliefs are going to drive some type of behavior, and that behavior is going to create a habit, and that habit's going to give you a result. And I like to start with the result I want and work back. The things we're doing going to give us that. And, I'm very transparent with our players. I think that they respond to that the results I've gotten in life for me or in coaching for me, I tell them when I have liked the results, and I tell them when I haven't liked the results. And if I look, the habits that you create, good or bad, give you some type of result. And if we truly want the result of competing on Saturdays, then it takes a program which is made up of people that starts with me, and that are obsessed with good habits. And when I haven't had good habits, I didn't like the results. When I have good habits, which is most of my life, I've enjoyed them. And I just shared with our team yesterday, I did a 2021 growth plan for me personally, because it starts with me. If you want to be a program obsessed with good habits, you got to have people that are obsessed with good habits, and that starts with me. And I started writing down all of this growth plan in 2021. I've got it on this manila folder. I started writing. And look,
that's official, Coach.
It is, but you know what it tells you is I got a lot of issues. So I started writing, man. I got a lot of things I want to improve on, and I want our kids and our coaches to approach it the same way. But that's the way I know about. I teach a class to our kids every Monday on culture and social issues, and on how do you chase a standard. And I read several books, and then try to develop a curriculum to teach, our kids and coaches every Monday, and it's worked for me.
That's fantastic.
And I think that's one of the reasons we've had success, probably as early as we've had it at pretty much every stop. We've been able to turn programs from, not winning very much to winning pretty quickly. And I think it's because of our approach. And then you got to have coaches now that buy into that, and that they're your voice in the meeting rooms. And you got to have players that in the locker room say, no, wait a minute, that's not the way we do it. And once you get to that point, I think you see what you're seeing on the field is, our kids we don't blink when bad things happen, or we don't get too high when good things happen. We just, we play the next play.
That's such a great point. And the best teams, Coach, we all know, police themselves. And I know you got to run and we're winding down, but you got me fired up with the growth plan. To be honest with you, if I put all the stuff on a manila folder that I need to work on, I'd probably be horrified, and it'd probably be able to fill up the Library of Congress. But Coach, something I think is important that I think you understand, and that a lot of the good coaches understand, I think it goes into recruiting, is that I think a lot of people and the players, the young guys, they get there and you think, hey, we're getting you up at 5:30 in the morning. We're rolling you. We're running you. We're lifting you. For lack of a better term, we're putting you through hell, because not all you guys are going to make the NFL, and winning's great. But when you have a family and you have a mortgage and you got 3 kids and you got an electric bill and you got a car payment and stuff may not be going good, when that alarm clock rings at 6 a.m, you're going to get up and go to work, because that's what was instilled in you. And at the end of the day, it's not just about winning games and putting guys in the NFL. It's about putting better men into society. And to me, when guys like you, they the day's done and you're retiring, you can look back and you get that call from one of your players. Hey, coach, I just got the big job we always talked about, or I'm having a kid, or I'm getting married, and just how important you've been, or any coach that is worth his salt, that understands what it's really about, how important that is. And can we close with you just talking about that and looking at guys that have played for you, that have even coached for you, even managers, trainers that have been affected by that have learned, hey, nobody's perfect. We know how to work against adversity and turn it into a great thing, because all the lives that you've affected off the field as well in a positive way, and how that, just warms your heart, man, because that's the truth, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
It is. I think, how successful I've been as a coach will probably be identified 10 to 20 years down the road when I see how successful the guys I coached are. And I don't know that, we'll have great memories. Us being in the top 25 this year in year 2 at Liberty is phenomenal, and we're going to frame those pictures, and I'm going to have one, and our players are going to have one. That's a great memory. But hopefully they have taken from those classes I've taught, and from me standing before them and say, let me tell you when Coach Freeze got it wrong. and let me tell you what you should learn from that. Yeah. And let me tell you when Coach got it right, and what you should learn from that. And because that's real. And life, I know no one that has gone through life without some gut punches. Some are self-inflicted, some are not. But either way, how do you handle that when it happens? And I hope I can model for our players when they see me with my wife and they see me with my kids, my daughters who are around our building all the time, and they see how I interact with them and how I want to honor and love them. And I don't always measure up to that, but sure want to. And that's what it's about to me, is the ability to get up every single day and chase a standard, whether it be in your relationships, whether it be in your personal life, whether it be in your faith, whether it be in academics, whether it be in football and conditioning, is, man, this ability to clock in, so to speak, and then look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and say, man, did I measure up? Did I chase the standard well? And be honest with yourself. And that's what integrity is to me, is not, integrity is not always getting it right, or nobody would have it. It's looking at the film of your life, or looking at the film of a game and saying, man, I got to own that. And are there changes that I need to make? And that's what I challenge everyone in our building to do at the end of the day is, man, did I chase it well today? And if the answer is yes, great, sleep well. If the answer is no, then let's get up tomorrow morning and make a change.
Well, Coach, I think, I couldn't agree more. And again, you can see it by the way your guys play on the field. And, just on a personal note, it's an honor to have you on, especially the first video edition of the Jboy Show. Guy, I love watching you play, love watching you compete, love the way you do things, and you're doing them the right way. And we're very excited to watch Liberty continue to grow, and you guys keep doing things and keep winning. Would love to get you back on eventually and talk a little bit more, especially when we get closer to the season. And again, the best of luck, Coach. And when I watch you guys play, I'm going to be thinking about pace, more of a tool than an identity now. But again, that personnel matches up. You never know how it goes. But I do really want to say thank you. I know our audience wants to say thank you, because real recognizes real at the end of the day.
Man, it's an honor to be on, and let's do it again closer to the season.
All right, everybody, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube at the Jboy Show. Very easy to find. Hugh Freeze, one of many amazing guests we're going to have on. I know you guys really enjoyed that combination. Also, make sure you check out Build Brand You, a book by Vince Melton here at Melt Sports. It's unbelievable. If you're trying to build your own brand, make sure you get a copy. They're flying like hotcakes, so you better get one before they're sold out. And we got merch coming. It's been another edition of the Jboy Show. Jboy's gone. The Jboy Show is produced by David Cohn, technical director Dave Hammock, creative director David Culbertson, audio engineer Feyzan, production assistant Kyle Orr, and our executive producers Crain, Vince Thompson, and of course we film at Melt Sports in Atlanta, GA. So come check us out.